Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tippecanoe County Board of Commissioners meeting for Monday, May 4th. And I would invite you to join us with the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first order of business is the approval of minutes from our Monday, April 20th meeting.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We approve those minutes as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
Mr. President, I would like to recommend the claims from April 24th, 2020 through May 4th, 2020 be approved without exception.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion also passes.
Mr. President, I would also like to recommend the payroll dated May 1st, 2020 be approved without exception.
So move.
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Highway. Good morning, Stu.
Good morning. I've got a few documents here. First on our agenda is the award of the 500 North 50 West Intersection Improvement Project. We're recommending the award to Bruce Riley and acceptance of the deduct alternate, bringing the award to $1,055,384.50.
And Stu, can you remind us of the deduct, what that was for?
The deduct is basically allows the closure of 50 West, Southbury, and Farm Road during construction. And it's a savings of about $140,000.
Okay, so it will be closed as part of the process. Okay.
That mic's not on.
How long will that closure be? Any idea? 30-day. Okay. Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We award the bid to Ruth Riley in the amount of $1,194,884.50 as presented. Oh, I'm sorry. Plus, but that then a deduct of $139,500 for a total of $1,055,384.50.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the award as submitted. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
Second item on the agenda, I brought everything up there, is a letter of approval in order to improve efficiencies and save money. We'd like to take the highway to garage to 4-day, 10-hour days. That gives the time periods on there starting.
Tuesday, May 26th.
Yes. That allows us, that cuts 20% off of our travel times, puts us on the 10 hours days. It's a lot more efficient.
It continues through Monday, September 14th.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We approve that letter of approval for summer hours for the Highway Department.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. Our last item has to do with positions out of the garage. Diana Jilg is retired and we're moving positions around. What we're doing is merging two positions into a single job description, administrative assistant. They're still COMA 3s, no changes in monies. To do this, I understand we have to do a title change on accounts clerk to administrative assistant, eliminate the out-of-office manager position, and create a second administrative assistant in that order. And Shirley's here virtually to help with that.
And you,
basically, they have an account clerk position out there and an office manager position. The office manager position and the account clerk position are almost identical in the wording, but there's supervision involved in there. They prefer both of them be equal employees. The other thing is with the accounts clerk, it kind of indicates that they want the account work, and so we're upgrading that title to administrative assistant to be more in line with all of the other departments as we go through and do the updates. So basically, they need to do the title change for the account clerk to administrative assistant. And then you need to eliminate the office manager position and create another administrative assistant. And these are all things that can be done without going through personnel committee because they're very minor changes. It's not going to change the classifications or anything.
And again, Stu, you do not need to go to council because there's no dollar change. Okay.
E does need to go to council.
Oh,
You
for the
need to get a new
salary
salary statement,
Oh.
because those have the job descriptions on it, or the classifications on it, or not like the Comet Pat sort of thing, but it has the title.
So you don't need any new money, you just have to get a salary
It's gonna
statement
be the
approved.
same thing, we just get
Okay.
the titles moved around in the right spot. So you get that the next day or two to us, we can get it on council for next week.
Do we need a motion and a vote on these changes
Yeah.
here?
Yes, we do.
Okay, and then a follow-up with that.
Right,
To
just
the
the
committee.
salary statement's all we need.
Okay,
Okay,
so
Shirley?
I think I got this. So we need to make a change in the highway department from, and these are all comment 3s, correct? From the account clerk to the administrative assistant. That's the first step, right? So I'll make a motion, we do that. Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Then we need to, I'll make a motion, we eliminate the office manager position at the highway department.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion also passes.
And then I'll make the motion that we create a second administrative assistant position.
Second.
You have a motion and a second to create the second administrative assistant position. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stu. Okay, Shirley, you're up.
Okay, the first two items that I have are with regard to Cast Light. We've been with Cast Light for several years now, but a couple of years ago, Anthem merged with them and created their Engage app, and we were able to have our clinic recognized in that. Anthem is now going to a different format, and it's called Sydney, and it would not direct any of our employees to our clinic or any of our other programs that are outside of Anthem. So what we're going to do is go back to Task Light, so we need to have that, the contract change and the service order form signed so that they can start to begin to make that platform. We will then be going back to just Task Light.
And Doug has gone through these. Okay.
He's shaking his head.
I see him nodding to the
Yes.
affirmative.
Okay, and then Shirley, you may not have seen these, but did you notice that there's a contract in here signed by John? Did you see that?
It was probably from the beginning, we started with Task Light, like I said, several years ago, I believe 2014. And so what that is it's amending our original contract again, because we amended when it switched over to be included with Anthem.
Okay, all right. With that, I'll make a motion that we approve that Cast Light contract as outlined.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Cast Light contract. Any further discussion?
My only question would be, should we also include in that, with that motion, the Cast Light service order form as part of that motion, Doug, or should I do that as a second one?
I think it's part of the original motion, but you can just clarify that your motion includes the service form.
Okay, I would like to clarify that. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I see Shirley talking. We have no audio.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Where is that 23 in the article?
That's Amy.
Can you hear me now?
I wonder if it's not working.
Shannon.
Sounds like Shannon.
Barely.
Okay, great. So, Maze Trust is a trust of a lot of schools and entities with us, and they have one with Proactive MD, formerly Wellness for Life. And so we're setting up a reciprocity agreement with them as well as the Crawfordsville clinics so that our employees will have the use of their other facilities as well as ours in Tippecanoe County and Riceville.
Where are they?
Crawfordsville Hospital.
And how many employees do we expect to utilize our clinics? Do we know?
Not a definite number. They have, majority of those people are going to be in the areas that, one of the clinics that we'll be able to utilize now would be in Monticello, Delphi, Kentland, Winnemac, Plymouth, New Carlisle, and Union Mills. Most of those employees are working in those areas at the schools or the entities there. So it would be basically the ones that maybe live in the Tippecanoe County area and commute there. And then just as they do that, our employees that live closer to Monticello, Delphi, whatever, they can use any of those as well.
Okay. And you'll be communicating this obviously with the employees.
Yes, once the agreement that you have in front of you has already been signed by Maze Trust. Once you sign it, I'll send it back to Proactive MD. We'll get it completely finalized, and then we'll be sending out another flyer to the employees to let them know that they have those other options. Right now, the Crawfordsville offices are listed in iSolved under the employee messages, so we'll put those up there as well.
Thank you. I'll make the motion. We approve the reciprocity agreement for Maze Trust Clinics.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the reciprocity agreement with Mace Trust Clinics. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, grants, was Sharon going to join us for this?
She's online. I think.
I don't see her.
If you want to go ahead. and
Yeah.
take it, that's okay.
We'll go ahead and get started.
You've got the sheet.
So, looks like these are all, at least the first one is a continuation. She's requesting permission to apply for,
Sorry, I
Morning.
was talking. Obviously, you couldn't hear me. I don't have a camera on that one. The first grant we'd like to apply for is with the Circuit Court. Judge Person would like to find funds for the Veterans Court from the Indiana Supreme Court in an amount of $6,500 to continue the program he already has in process.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We grant permission to apply.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to apply for the grant as outlined. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. And the second grant we're going to apply for is the Sheriff's Office. We'll be looking into the bulletproof vest again this year.
Mr. President, I move we grant permission to apply as stated.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for the BPV grant as submitted. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Last grant we're looking at this week would be Community Corrections, the Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Abuse Program. Used to be the COAP, and that would be from BJA for a continuation of the current program that they have in process.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We grant permission to apply as stated.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to apply as stated. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
And the last grant that we'd like to accept would be $100,000 from the CDBG funds to provide assistance needed for isolation, quarantine, and individuals in the county. And I'd like to announce that on April 22nd, the Lieutenant Governor, we were one of the first ones of the 13 that they passed out. So I'm glad that Tippecanoe was able to submit that application and be approved.
Mr. President, I grant that we permission to accept this grant as stated.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the COVID-19 CDBG funds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. Looks like we have 3 change orders, an agreement, and a 4th change order for a couple of different projects.
Project number 4 has been, that was a duplicate.
Mr. President, I move that we approve change order 1. This is with Davidson Excavating. It is a deduction of $17,757. This is for some mitigation and removal of some stormwater sewer lines that no longer need to be taken up. So move that we approve that change order.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second for Davidson Construction's change order in the form of a credit. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Change in order number 2 is with Shepler Construction Company. This is for some new headers and sills and some flashing around some openings. This is an increase, and it will be an increase of $5,744. Move to approve that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Shepler change order for $5,744. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Another change order number 3, this is with J.R. Kelly Company. This is an increase of more cement around the overhead doors. It is an increase of $2,699. I move to approve that change order.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the change order with J.R. Kelly Company. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Then we have a contract, which should be, I think, our last contract out there for the Fairgrounds project. This was with Denny Excavating. This is for the demolition part of the Fairgrounds. So I move that we approve this contract with Denny Excavating.
And that was the last bid that we accepted.
That was our last bid.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second for the contract with Denny Excavating. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Is that the central office?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you ready for me?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we have one change order for the central office project, which is the old Y. It's a deduct in an amount that totals $4,500. It's a change in exterior doors and glass for the new windows. So with that, I'll make the motion. We approve that deduct for $4,500.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the deduct in the change order. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Reports on file, we only have one from the Building Commission, be available in our office and online. Unfinished or new business. And I believe we're going to have a discussion about our county operational status in light of the governor's changes as of last Friday. So open that up for discussion.
How do you want to do this? Do you want to talk about, the status quo issues for right now? Meaning, I think with the governor's announcement, I think it's probably important that we take that into consideration. Plus, the advice from our health department. I think it's for at least the rest of this week. I think it's important that we keep status quo in all of our facilities. So basically, all the offices are still functioning as normal, with the exception of a lot of when folks are calling in or emailing, folks may be at home. And remarkably, throughout this entire process, it's worked fairly well. I mean, there's been a few hiccups here and there, but it's actually worked fairly well through this process. So basically, through at least next Monday at this point, employees will still be continuing status quo. Essential folks will be reporting to work as normal, but others will be working from home. As it has been, the buildings would still be blocked, and then we would reevaluate that decision as we approach the end of this week, and with the hopes that at some point we'll get employees back into the buildings. And go back to whatever this new norm might be like, but obviously still practicing social distancing and with our health department providing input on how those offices may need to be realigned to protect not only citizens who may be coming in eventually, but also to make sure we protect our employees.
And I think, again, as we said in the last Health Department press conference last week, that we've covered a lot of ground and clearly are doing what we should be doing. I think the evidence is in some of the results that we've seen based on the rate of spread in our own community. But again, we want to remind citizens and our employees it's not a time for us to let up at this point in time. There are a lot of best practices that we're already tuned into that we'll want to maintain, and I think Commissioner Murtaugh is absolutely on point. This puts us in line with what the governor recommended, and just sort of a slow roll towards opening, knowing that it'll be in stages for us as well. And again, that begins with getting folks back to work as soon as it's safe to do so. But I've been very proud of our folks and the way they've responded in the recent weeks. I know a lot of head scratching early on, but certainly we've proven that we can, in many cases, work remotely and still provide much-needed services to our citizens. And who would have guessed a month ago that we'd have, I'm probably going to jinx us here, a nearly flawless stream right now, but I think that's going to be the way that we do business for a little while longer. So
one change I would want to point out to how we have been doing things the past few weeks. Starting tomorrow, the Treasurer's Office, obviously we're approaching what would be the traditional due date for property taxes, May 10th. But the Treasurer's Office will be accepting tax payments in person in the vestibule right here, so right inside the front door off of 3rd and Columbia. There will be standard set up so that to keep everybody safe, so there'll be markings on the floor as to where folks should stand. We ask that people, please consider wearing masks, so on and so forth. Those payments will be accepted in the vestibule, but not in the Treasurer's Office, so they won't go past the vestibule here. And that'll be done through traditional business hours, 8 a.m. through 4:30, up through May 10th. Now, keep in mind the governor, in his first proclamation, stated that penalties on property taxes would be waived through July 10th. So payments are still due on May 10th. However, if if due to the financial crisis, if folks cannot make those payments, they won't have to face a penalty until July 10th. We do encourage anybody who can pay to please pay, because obviously not only does county government rely on those funds, but also city government, schools, and all the other taxing entities rely on that income in order to keep their essential functions in operation. But we also ask folks to please consider still paying either online or by mail just to avoid that contact.
Tom, it's May 11.
Oh, is it a holiday or is it a weekend or something?
Weekend,
It's a weekend, okay. I'm sorry.
Okay, Commissioner Byers, anything to add?
No, I think the biggest thing is those employees out there that might be listening, please talk to your department heads as we attempt to do a slow roll back in. We will be depending on the department heads on how they're going to continue to work their departments and their organizations.
Okay, anything else?
The only other thing I'd like to add is received a message from Heather Maddox, who's the local census director, and she stated that Tippecanoe County is at 60%, at the 60% mark. So that means 60% of the folks have already responded, and that's wonderful. So for those of you who have not responded, please do so immediately. It is so important to be counted during the census process, but a huge round of applause for folks who have already responded. It's so important.
And are we set up for public comment before we close?
John asked them.
Okay, public comment?
John,
Heather says, thank you, Tom.
I was going to say, you have the one that was emailed in.
Yes, I have one public comment from Amber Knowles. She gives an status update on the 4-H activities. That Jenny is working to offer a learning series for youth, grades 3 through 8, to take place in May. There's a mini day camp that will be held in June for kindergarten through 2nd grade. Healthy Habits Teen Teachers. The curriculum is online, will be going online in May. There are several clubs and project leaders that have been holding virtual meetings and workshops with their youth in the past few weeks. They continue to work with the Exhibit Association to plan the fair for 2020, and will provide updates and plans as they are finalized. In the Agricultural and Natural Resources, with Karen Mitchell as the educator, she's been working with statewide teams to create best practices for community gardens and farmers markets in response to the COVID-19, and working with master gardeners, the community gardener managers, to get our local community gardens ready for the season. In the Health and Human Services section, Amber Knowles, the Health and Human Services educator, she's been working at the national level with educators from other states to create pilot 4-week email-based diabetes education programs. She's been facilitating Get Walkin', an email-based walking program that spans the 12-week period. And she's working with teams of educators across the state to create public food safety and home food preservation materials in an online format.
Thank you. Anything else?
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned.
Delay.
It's almost 30 seconds. Were you timing it? You're timing it? Yeah. I counted it at 30, I was surprised.
Yeah, 25 seconds.